Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy.
The dorm room door slammed shut, and the sound of the lock was loud and final. He leaned against the door, trying to catch his breath, his heart racing like he'd just run from danger. The walk back from Marco's place felt like a long, tiring journey in his mind. He fumbled with the light switch, his hands shaking. Taking a deep breath, he looked at himself in the mirror, trying to find any sign of the chaos inside him. Even though his hands trembled and his chest moved quickly, his reflection looked the same, a strong face with a firm jaw and thick brows, the trace of a morning shave barely visible. But inside, he felt a deep change, like the slow shift of the earth. He pulled off his navy hoodie, still smelling like Marco's cologne, and threw it aside, revealing just his undershirt and jeans. The memory of Marco's lips on his neck made his stomach twist, not with disgust as he thought it would, but with something else. His phone buzzed, a text from Marco. "Had a great time. Hope you're okay." He stared at the message for a minute, then deleted it without replying. His thumb hovered over Marco's contact, ready to block the number, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. A knock rattled his door. "Hey, you in there? It's Stacy." He groaned. His neighbor had an uncanny ability to show up at the worst possible moments. Not now. "Come on, I made brownies. The good kind with the caramel swirl." Despite everything, his stomach growled. He hadn't eaten since lunch, too nervous about his date, hangout, whatever that disaster had been. He opened the door to find Stacy balancing a plate in one hand and a six-pack of beer in the other. Her purple crop top and black leggings made him acutely aware of his disheveled state. "You look like hell." She pushed past him without waiting for an invitation. "What happened? Bad midterm?" "Something like that." He grabbed one of the beers and took a long pull. The cold liquid did nothing to wash away the lingering taste of Marco's mouth. Stacy plopped down on his bed, tucking her legs under her. Her blonde hair fell in waves past her shoulders as she tilted her head, studying him. "Bullshit. This is about a guy, isn't it?" The beer went down the wrong pipe. He coughed, eyes watering. "What? No. Why would you?" "Please. I've lived next door for 2 years. I know what your I-bombed-a-test face looks like, and this ain't it." She patted the bed beside her. "Spill." He remained standing, arms crossed. "There's nothing to spill." "Right, that's why you're pacing like a caged animal and your hoodie's inside out." He glanced down. She was right. Heat crept up his neck. "Fine, I kissed someone." And it was Marco. Stacy's eyebrows shot up, but her expression remained neutral. "From your economics class? The one with the dimples?" He nodded miserably. "We were studying at his place, had a few drinks. One thing led to another." He trailed off, unable to voice what had happened next. How Marco's hands had felt in his hair, how he'd wanted more, so much more, even as his brain screamed at him to run. "So you're freaking out because you're not as straight as you thought." Stacy's tone was matter-of-fact, like she was stating the weather forecast. "I'm not." The denial died on his lips. What was the point? She'd already seen through him. "I don't know what I am." "That's okay, you don't have to know right now." She held out a brownie. "Eat. You look like you're about to pass out." He accepted the peace offering and sat beside her, careful to maintain distance. The brownie was perfect. Gooey center, crispy edges, enough chocolate to momentarily distract from his existential crisis. "You know what I think?" Stacy said after a moment. "I think you've been so focused on who you're supposed to be that you never stop to ask who you want to be." "Deep. You get that from a fortune cookie?" She punched his arm. "I'm serious. When was the last time you did something just because you wanted to, not because it was expected or practical or whatever?" He thought about it. Really thought about it. The answer was uncomfortable in its clarity. "I can't remember." Exactly. So maybe this thing with Marco is actually a good thing, a wake-up call. A wake-up call to what? That I'm... He still couldn't say the word. It felt too big, too final. That you're human. that you have desires and feelings that don't fit in neat little boxes. She turned to face him fully. Can I tell you something? And you have to promise not to freak out. That's not really selling it. Promise, he sighed. Fine, I promise. I've noticed things, the way you look at guys sometimes, the way you looked at my dress during the Halloween party last year. His blood turned to ice. I don't know what you're talking about. The red one with the sequins. You kept staring at it all night. At first I thought you were checking me out, but then I realized you weren't looking at me. You were looking at the dress itself. That's ridiculous. Is it? She stood and walked to his closet, running her fingers along his clothes. Everything was practical. Jeans, t-shirts, hoodies in various shades of blue and gray. When I was packing for college, my mom tried to convince me to dress more conservatively, said I'd be taken more seriously. You know what I told her? He shook his head. That I'd rather be myself and happy than respectable and miserable. She turned back to him. What would make you happy? The question hung in the air between them. He wanted to deflect, to make a joke, to change the subject, but something in her expression, patient, understanding, free of judgment, made him want to tell the truth. I don't know, he admitted. Sometimes I look at women's clothes and I wonder what they'd feel like, how they'd look on me. The last two words came out as barely a whisper. Stacy didn't laugh, didn't recoil. She just nodded like he'd told her he preferred chocolate ice cream to vanilla. Have you ever tried? No, God no. Can you imagine if someone found out? Found out what? That you're curious? That you want to explore different aspects of yourself? She sat back down, closer this time. There's nothing wrong with that. Easy for you to say. You're not, what? A person with feelings and desires that society might not understand? Newsflash, we all are. The only difference is some of us are better at hiding it. He picked at the label on his beer bottle. Even if I wanted to, I wouldn't know where to start. Lucky for you, you have a friend with excellent taste and a closet full of clothes. She grinned. If you want, I mean, no pressure. His heart hammered against his ribs. This was insane. He should say no, thank her for the brownies, and pretend this conversation never happened. Instead, he heard himself asking, when? How about now? My roommate's gone for the weekend. Now? His voice cracked like he was 13 again. Why not? You're already having an identity crisis. Might as well lean into it. Before he could lose his nerve, he nodded. Stacy squealed and grabbed his hand, pulling him toward the door. This is going to be so fun! Her room was exactly what he'd expected. Organized chaos. Clothes draped over every surface, makeup scattered across her desk, fairy lights strung along the walls, casting everything in a warm glow. The air smelled like vanilla and something floral he couldn't identify. Okay, first things first. She opened her closet and started pulling out hangers. What speaks to you? Dress? Skirt? We should probably start simple. He stood frozen in the doorway. This was happening. This was actually happening. Hey, Stacy's voice softened. We can stop any time. This is about you exploring, not me pressuring you into anything. I know. He stepped into the room and closed the door. What if someone sees? They won't. And even if they did, so what? You're in college. This is literally the time to experiment and figure yourself out. She held up a black skirt, simple, knee-length, nothing too flashy. How about this? It's stretchy, so it should fit. He took it with shaking hands. The fabric was softer than he'd expected, almost silky. I don't know how to... Right, okay, turn around. He did as instructed, listening to her rummage through drawers. Here. She handed him a pair of black underwear. These are boy shorts, so they'll be more comfortable for you. And this. A black bralette appeared. It's basically like a sports bra, nothing too complicated. I can't wear your underwear. They're clean, drama queen. I bought a pack and never opened it. Wrong size. She moved toward the door. I'll give you some privacy. Just put those on under your clothes, then the skirt. I'll be right outside. Alone in the room, he stared at the items in his hands. This was his chance to back out, to laugh it off, hand everything back, and return to his safe, predictable life. The life where he dated girls he felt nothing for and pretended not to notice, the way certain men made his pulse race. The life where he walked past store windows and definitely didn't imagine himself in the mannequins' dresses. "Screw it," he muttered, and started undressing. The underwear felt strange but not unpleasant. The bralette took 3 tries to figure out, but eventually he managed. The skirt slid up his legs easily, settling at his waist like it belonged there. He looked down at himself. His white undershirt looked ridiculous with the skirt. "You decent?" Stacy called. "I guess?" She came back in and immediately shook her head. "Nope, that shirt has to go. Hang on." More rummaging. She produced a black tank top. "This'll work better." He changed shirts, hyper-aware of her presence, even though she politely focused on organizing her makeup. The tank top was fitted, showing the slight outline of the bralette underneath. Combined with the skirt, the effect was... "Holy shit," Stacy breathed, turning to look at him. "You have great legs. Like, I'm actually jealous." He looked in her full-length mirror and barely recognized himself. The person staring back wasn't quite male, wasn't quite female, but something in between that made his breath catch. "How do you feel?" Stacy asked. "I don't know. Different. Not bad different, just..." He turned slightly, watching the skirt move. "Different? Good different?" He considered lying, considered playing it off as silly experimentation, but the truth bubbled up before he could stop it. "Yeah, good different. Want to try makeup?" His stomach flipped. "I don't know if I'm ready for that." "Just a little. Nothing dramatic. Some foundation to smooth things out. Maybe mascara?" He found himself nodding. Stacy practically vibrated with excitement as she guided him to her desk chair. "Close your eyes and trust me." For the next 20 minutes, he submitted to her ministrations. Brushes swept across his face, soft and ticklish. She narrated each step, explaining what she was doing and why. The process was oddly soothing, meditative even. "Okay, you can look?" He opened his eyes and gasped. The face in the mirror was his but transformed. His skin looked smoother, eyes larger and more defined. She'd done something to his lips that made them look fuller without being obvious about it. "I look beautiful," Stacy finished. "You look beautiful." Tears pricked at his eyes. He blinked them back, not wanting to ruin her work. "This is crazy." "The good kind of crazy?" She rested her hands on his shoulders, meeting his gaze in the mirror. "Because I think this might be the most relaxed I've ever seen you." She was right. The constant tension he carried, the weight of expectation and denial, had loosened its grip. For the first time in years, maybe ever, he felt like he could breathe properly. "What am I supposed to do with this?" he asked. "I can't go out like this. I can't..." "Why not?" "Because I'm..." He gestured helplessly at himself. "You're what? A person wearing clothes that make them feel good?" She spun his chair around to face her. "Listen, I know this is scary and new and probably bringing up all kinds of feelings, but you don't have to figure it all out tonight, or ever, if you don't want to. This can just be something you do sometimes, when you need to feel like yourself. Is that what I look like? Myself? I don't know. Do you feel like yourself?" He thought about it, really examined the feelings spreading through his chest, warm and light and terrifying, more than I have in a long time. "Then that's all that matters." She glanced at her phone. "It's still early. Want to watch a movie? Eat more brownies? We can just hang out, no pressure to do anything else." "Could I keep this on, just for a while?" "Of course. Mi casa es su casa, or, I guess, mi closet es su closet." She grabbed her laptop and flopped onto her bed, patting the space beside her. "Come on, let's watch something terrible and make fun of it." He stood carefully, still adjusting to the feeling of the skirt, and joined her on the bed. She pulled up Netflix and started scrolling through options, chattering about which movies had the worst special effects. Normal. She was treating this as completely normal, and somehow that made it easier to settle into his skin. Halfway through a spectacularly bad horror movie, he caught sight of himself in the mirror across the room. The person looking back still surprised him, but the shock was fading into something else. Recognition, maybe. or possibility. "Can I ask you something?" Stacy said during a particularly gruesome scene. "Sure. Do you think this has anything to do with what happened with Marco? Like, are they connected?" He considered it. "I don't know, maybe? I've been thinking about both things for a while, but separately, like they were different parts of me that couldn't coexist. But maybe they can? Maybe?" He smoothed the skirt over his legs, marveling at how natural the gesture felt. Is it weird that this feels less scary than kissing him did? Not weird at all. This is just you and me and some clothes. That was you being vulnerable with another person. She paused the movie. Are you going to text him back? I don't know what I'd say. How about the truth, that you're figuring some things out and need time? He'll think I'm a freak. Will he? He kissed you back, didn't he? Heat flooded his cheeks. How did you... Please, you said one thing led to another, not, I kissed him and he pushed me away. I'm not stupid. She nudged him with her elbow. Look, I don't know Marco well, but he seems like a decent guy. If he's worth your time, he'll understand that this is complicated for you. And if he doesn't, then he's not worth your time. They finished the movie in comfortable silence. As the credits rolled, he felt his phone buzz. Another text from Marco. I understand if you need space. Just want you to know I'm here if you want to talk. See? Stacy said, reading over his shoulder. Decent guy. He stared at the message, thumb hovering over the keyboard. Finally, he typed, I'm figuring some things out. Can we talk in a few days? The response came immediately. Of course, take all the time you need. A weight lifted from his shoulders. Not everything, but enough that he could breathe easier. I should probably go, he said reluctantly. It's getting late. You can borrow the clothes if you want. Wear them in your room. See how they feel when you're alone. Really? Really? But first, she jumped up and grabbed a makeup wipe. Let's clean your face. I'll teach you how to do it yourself next time. Next time. The casual assumption that there would be a next time made something warm bloom in his chest. As she gently removed the makeup, explaining which products she'd used and why, he realized he was already looking forward to it. Back in his room, still wearing her clothes under his hoodie and jeans, he sat at his desk and opened his laptop. His reflection caught in the black screen. Face clean, but somehow still different. Like once he'd seen himself that way, he couldn't fully unsee it. He opened a new document and stared at the blank page. Then slowly, he began to type. Today, I learned something about myself. He wrote for hours, pouring out thoughts and feelings he'd kept locked away. About the girl in high school whose prom dress he'd envied more than her body. About the dreams where he woke up different, transformed, and the crushing disappointment of reality. About Marco and how kissing him had felt like coming home and running away all at once. When he finally stopped, the sky outside was starting to lighten. He saved the document in a password-protected folder and closed his laptop. Then, still wearing the borrowed clothes, he crawled into bed and fell into the deepest sleep he'd had in months. He woke to knocking. Disoriented, he glanced at his phone. 2 p.m. He'd slept through his morning classes. Coming, he called, voice rough with sleep. He started to get up, then remembered what he was wearing. Panic shot through him as he scrambled for his regular clothes. It's me, Stacy's voice came through the door. And I brought lunch. He relaxed fractionally, pulling on sweatpants over the skirt. Give me a second. When he opened the door, she took one look at him and grinned. You kept them on. I fell asleep in them, he admitted, stepping aside to let her in. And how did that feel? Good, really good. He accepted the sandwich she offered, turkey and avocado from the good deli down the street. I missed my morning classes. Worth it? He thought about the document on his laptop, the words that had poured out of him like water through a broken dam. Yeah, I think it was. They ate in comfortable silence. When they finished, Stacy pulled out her phone and showed him a website. So I was thinking, if you want to explore this more, we should probably get you some things of your own. This place has really good prices and discreet shipping. I can't afford my treat. Call it an early birthday present. My birthday's not for 6 months. Then a really early birthday present. She scrolled through the options. What do you think? We could start with basics.
A few skirts, some tops, maybe a dress if you're feeling adventurous. He looked at the screen, at the endless possibilities laid out before him. What if someone sees the package? Ship it to my room. My roommate never pays attention to my shopping deliveries anyway. You've really thought this through. I've been waiting for you to figure yourself out for literally years. I'm prepared. She bumped his shoulder. So, want to pick some things? An hour later, they'd filled a cart with carefully selected items. Nothing too flashy, everything in black or navy or deep purple. Colors that felt safe, but still different from his usual wardrobe. Stacy added a few things he wouldn't have dared choose himself. A dress with a flared skirt, a pair of low heels, some basic makeup. This is too much, he protested as she entered her credit card information. This is perfect. Trust me. Once you start building a wardrobe, you'll understand the addiction. She hit submit before he could argue further. Should be here by Thursday. Thursday. 4 days to panic, to change his mind, to pretend this never happened. Or 4 days to anticipate, to imagine, to write more in his secret document. I texted Marco, he said suddenly. Last night. Told him I needed time to figure things out. Good, that's good. One thing at a time. She studied him. Although... What? Nothing, just thinking. She had that look that meant she was planning something. Stacy, I'm just saying if you wanted to, see how he reacts to all of you. She gestured vaguely at him. Absolutely not. Not now, obviously, but maybe someday when you're ready? The thought terrified him. Marco had kissed the male version of him. There was no guarantee he'd be interested in whatever he was becoming. But underneath the fear was a tiny spark of curiosity. What would it be like to be seen, really seen, by someone he was attracted to? Can we talk about something else? He asked. Sure. Want to help me study for my psych exam? I'll quiz you on the economics stuff you missed this morning. They spent the rest of the afternoon like that. Normal, friendly, like the earth hadn't shifted on its axis the night before. But every so often, he'd catch sight of himself in the mirror and remember the black skirt still hidden under his sweatpants. Each time, the smile that crossed his face grew a little more confident. That night, alone in his room, he put on the outfit again. This time he looked at himself, really looked. Without makeup, with his short hair and stubbled jaw, he didn't pass as female. But something in his posture had changed. The way he held himself, moved, existing in the space. It was like trying on a new language and finding it already familiar on his tongue. His phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number, but the area code was familiar. His hometown. Hey, it's David from high school. I'm in town for work next week. Want to grab a beer? David. Star quarterback, prom king, the guy everyone wanted to be or be with. They'd been lab partners senior year, surprisingly friendly despite running in different circles. He'd also been the subject of more than a few confused dreams back then. Sure, he typed back. Let me know when. As he hit send, he wondered what David would think if he could see him now. Would he be disgusted, intrigued? Would he see the same person from high school, just in different packaging? The thought should have scared him. Instead, it felt like another possibility opening up. Another version of himself emerging from the shadows. He kept the skirt on while he did homework, occasionally running his hands over the fabric. Each time it felt more natural, more right, like his body was finally catching up to something his mind had always known. Wednesday came with a mix of anticipation and dread. He'd managed to make it to his classes, even participated in discussions, but his mind kept drifting to the package that would arrive tomorrow, to the conversation with Marco he couldn't put off forever, to David's impending visit. You're distracted, his economics professor noted after class. Everything okay? Just a lot on my mind, he said, gathering his things. If you need to talk... She left the offer hanging. Thanks, I'm okay. Just figuring some things out. She smiled knowingly. Ah, the joys of college self-discovery. Take your time. The answers tend to come when you stop forcing them. Walking across campus, he spotted Marco outside the library. Their eyes met across the quad. Marco raised his hand in a small wave, expression cautious but not unfriendly. He waved back,
then quickly changed direction. Not yet. He wasn't ready yet. His phone rang. Stacy. Package came early. You want to come get it? His heart leaped. Now? I have class in an hour, so yeah, now would be good. He practically ran to her dorm. She met him at the door with a large box, grinning like it was Christmas morning. Go try everything on. I want a fashion show when I get back from class. Alone in his room with the box, he felt like he was defusing a bomb. Each item he pulled out was another step toward something. He wasn't sure what yet, but it felt important, monumental. The clothes fit better than Stacy's had. The dress she'd insisted on was simple, black with 3/4 sleeves and a skirt that hit just above his knees. When he put it on, something clicked into place. This was what he'd been missing. He spent the next hour trying different combinations, each outfit revealing something new about himself. The heels were trickier than expected, but after a few wobbling steps, he found his balance. Walking in them required a different posture, a different awareness of his body in space. He liked it. When Stacy returned, he was sitting on his bed in the dress, reading for his literature class like it was the most normal thing in the world. Look at you, she clapped her hands. How does it feel? Like I should have done this years ago. Better late than never. She sat beside him, then pulled out a small bag. I got you something else. Don't freak out. Inside was a wig, long auburn waves that caught the light like burnished copper. I can't. Just try it. If you hate it, we'll return it. She helped him position it correctly, adjusting until it looked natural.
Well, as natural as anything about this situation could look. When he looked in the mirror this time, he gasped. With the hair framing his face, the effect of the dress was magnified. He didn't look like a man in women's clothes anymore. He looked like her. The person he'd seen glimpses of in dreams and private moments. What do you think? Stacy asked softly. He touched the auburn waves, watched them slide through his fingers. I think I need a new name. Yeah? Any ideas? He'd thought about it, late at night when sleep wouldn't come. Tried on different names like clothes, seeing what fit. Emma, I think I'm Emma. Nice to meet you, Emma. Stacy's smile was radiant. How about we celebrate with makeovers and wine? It's Wednesday afternoon. And? Emma, God, thinking of herself as Emma felt huge and terrifying and right, laughed. Okay, but nothing too dramatic with the makeup. 3 hours and half a bottle of wine later, Emma stared at her reflection in amazement. Stacy had worked magic with contouring and highlighting, making her face appear softer, more feminine. The auburn wig framed everything perfectly. You're getting good at walking in those heels, Stacy observed as Emma paced the room practicing. It's all about weight distribution. She did a small spin, giggling as the dress flared out. The wine was definitely helping with confidence. So what's the plan? Keep this private for now? Emma sat carefully, still getting used to moving in a dress. I don't know. Part of me wants to run outside right now and show everyone. Part of me wants to hide forever. Both are valid. There's no rush. David texted again. He'll be here Saturday. High school David, the one you had a crush on? I didn't have a... Emma stopped at Stacy's knowing look. Okay, maybe a little crush. Are you going to see him? As myself? The male version, I mean? That's up to you. But can I make a suggestion? At Emma's nod, she continued. Go out somewhere first. As Emma. Somewhere no one knows you. Test the waters. Where? There's a club downtown. Very accepting crowd. We could go Friday night? Emma's stomach flipped. Out? In public? Like this? Only if you want to, but I think it might help you figure out what feels right. The idea was terrifying and exhilarating, and maybe exactly what she needed. Okay, Emma heard herself say. Friday night. Really? Really? She drained her wine glass. If I'm going to do this, I might as well go all in. That's my girl! Stacy hugged her tight. This is going to be amazing. The next 2 days passed in a blur. Emma attended classes as her male self, but spent every free moment practicing being Emma. She watched YouTube tutorials on makeup application, practiced walking in heels until her feet ached, experimented with different outfits from her new wardrobe. Thursday night, she almost chickened out. Standing in front of her mirror in boy clothes, she couldn't imagine going out as Emma. It seemed impossible, like trying to fly by flapping her arms. Then she remembered Marco's kiss, how she'd felt in that moment, desired but also wrong, like she was playing a role that didn't quite fit. Maybe that's what her whole life had been, playing a role. Her phone buzzed. Marco again. "Hey, I know you said you needed time, but I wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. No pressure to respond." Before she could overthink it, she typed back, "Thinking about you too. Maybe we can talk next week." "I'd like that." She stared at the conversation, imagining telling him everything. Would he understand? Would anyone? Friday arrived with storm clouds that matched her mood. She went through the motions of her day, but her mind was on the night ahead. Stacy texted her hourly with encouragement and outfit suggestions. By evening, the rain had started. Emma stood in her room, half-dressed, staring at the clothes laid out on her bed. The black dress, the heels, the auburn wig waiting on its stand. "You can do this," she told her reflection. "You're Emma. You can do this." She started with the basics, each layer of clothing adding to her confidence. The dress slipped on like armor. The heels gave her height and a new perspective. When she placed the wig and began her makeup, carefully following the steps Stacy had taught her, she felt herself transforming. A knock at the door made her freeze. "It's me," Stacy called. "You ready?" Emma opened the door. Stacy was dressed to kill in a red mini dress and knee-high boots, her makeup dramatically smoky. "Holy shit," Stacy breathed. "Emma, you look incredible. I feel like I'm going to throw up." "That's normal. Here." She handed Emma a small purse. "I put some essentials in there. Lipstick, powder, mints, cash, girl stuff." "Girl stuff," Emma repeated, testing the words. "I'm really doing this." "You really are." "Come on, Uber's here." The ride downtown was a blur of lights and rain. Emma kept checking her reflection in her phone, half expecting to see her male face staring back. But no, there was Emma, auburn hair catching the streetlights, lips glossed, and eyes wide with anticipation. The club was housed in an old warehouse, bass thumping so hard Emma felt it in her chest before they even got inside. The line was diverse, all genders, all presentations, all welcome. No one gave Emma a second glance beyond appreciative looks at her outfit. "See?" Stacy said as they waited. "You fit right in." Inside was sensory overload. Colored lights swept across the packed dance floor. The air was thick with perfume, cologne, and sweat. Bodies moved together in rhythm, uninhibited and free. "Drinks first," Stacy shouted over the music, pulling Emma toward the bar. They ordered vodka sodas. "Easy to drink and won't mess up your lipstick," Stacy explained. Emma sipped hers carefully, hyper-aware of every movement. How to hold the glass, how to sit on the bar stool, how to cross her legs. It was exhausting and exhilarating. "Hey there," a voice at her elbow made her turn. A man about her age smiled at her, eyes appreciative but respectful. "I haven't seen you here before." Emma's throat closed up. This was it. The test. Would he see through her? Call her out? "First time," she managed, voice pitched slightly higher than usual. "Well, welcome. I'm Chris." He extended his hand. "Emma." The name still felt new on her tongue. His handshake was firm, warm. "Can I buy you a drink, Emma?" She held up her still full glass. "I'm good, thanks. Maybe a dance later?" Before she could respond, Stacy intervened. "We're having a girls' night, sorry." Chris took the rejection gracefully. "No worries. Enjoy your evening, ladies." After he left, Emma turned to Stacy in amazement. He didn't know. Why would he? About makeup and dresses, it's taking up space, being bold, and claiming your power. It's a magical feeling, isn't it? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.